Hannah, thank you so much for being with me today. Our topic is servant leadership, which is actually something that I rarely hear discussed in a university environment. You also shared with me that you've been a part of leadership and experiential learning, which is a department at the university that allows for these really awesome opportunities for students during their freshman year. And you were a part of two different things. The first one is you did this first year fellowship, and the second one was alternative breaks.
I'll start with the alternative breaks because that's where I really figured out the difference between helping other people and serving other people. For more context, my trip was to Washington, D.C. to learn about homelessness and food insecurity, and this is where these topics come to mind. If I had to talk about my perception of helping other and serving people a year ago, it would be completely different, which is why I feel like this topic is so important. As we learned in alternative breaks, the difference is that when you help somebody, it's not putting in 100% of your integrity, of your heart into that other person because you want to be there for that person, as opposed to what serving others means. And I think that the term to help other people is something that's used every single day. Everybody wants to help other people. It's kind of a standard that's upheld for every citizen in society. And I think because people think that way, it strips down that meaning of empathy and that meaning to really be there for another person or another individual to serve that person. So when we talk about serving other people, it's really putting in a lot of empathy. It's really putting in your time and your effort because you know that you are providing a service to another person or another individual. And now this concept of serving others ties into servant leadership, which is something I learned through the first year fellowship program. And in my own words, servant leadership is this idea where you're able to strive to serve other people rather than having an intention of personal gain or having a control for selfish purposes.
I think this work came about in the 70s because I've heard this discussed in other leadership circles. And is that the work that the leadership and experiential learning department were teaching you guys, that framework?
Yes, yeah. And the way that they explained servant leadership was to first say what is dependence, what is independence, and now what does it mean to be interdependent, which is what servant leadership is. So when we talk about dependence, it's relying on other people. It's dependence is really asking yourself, how can I receive input for myself? Do I need more approval from authority figures in order to feel that I'm doing the right thing, as opposed to independence, where let's say you move out of the house, you're all on your own, everything is based on your own actions and you are only for yourself. So dependence and independence come from both extremes. And what we want to strive for is really that interdependence. It's more collaborative effort, keeping your values and intentions and your goals, but also striving to work with other people to achieve that goal.
This reminds me a little bit of concepts that I taught in my leadership class that were from The Seven Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. That seems, and I don't know, if they're from coming from the same source, but that does remind me of that. So let's really bring this into the lives of college students and into your own life. So you learned about this through these awesome experiences you had. You've been internally processing this. So can you tell me then, where have you seen people within our university, whether it's fellow student or a professor or someone in administration, where you have seen someone model servant leadership?
I really believe that the alternative breaks group, though that entire student leadership group upholds to that value of servant leadership because the whole point of the club is for students to create these programs that are nationwide, internationally even, and these programs is towards community service, and they have students around the Rutgers community join these programs, and these students take them to those locations and help different communities that they're working with.
How about now within the university itself? How do you see students model that? Or even if you yourself feel that you have modeled servant leadership in the classroom?
Personally, for me, I think that I was able to show servant leadership through participation. I took the public speaking class with you. My participation and the ideas that I was able to put out in the classroom might be ideas and conversations that other people didn't think about. So I think that no matter what, that amount of engagement, that amount of putting yourself out there attests to becoming a servant leader, because other people might not have that same mindset, or they might not know something that you might know.
Now, how does that tie in then to the service part? Because I hear you saying leadership by example, communicating clearly, voicing your ideas and concerns. How does then what's the next step to turning that into servant leadership for your fellow peers, for other students?
It's really about realizing that this needs to be applicable in any space, in any environment. You don't just do it in the classroom because your professor is there. You don't just do it because an authoritative figure is there and you need that kind of approval from them. You have to do it because you intrinsically believe in what you're saying and what you value. What you value. So in those small circles, being able to bring those ideas forward without hesitation because it's just something that you really believe in is the small rippling effect that is going to start making a movement towards other communities everywhere else. And I think that that's really important to ingrain.
I share that belief myself personally. The reason why I do what I do is because I want to have an impact and an influence in the lives of the next generation to build them up to be stronger leaders and stronger communicators. Can you tell me a time where you yourself have displayed servant leadership during your time at the university?
A personal anecdote, but in the New Brunswick community, there are a lot of people experiencing homelessness. And I was walking home with a couple of friends one night, and we saw someone experiencing homelessness on the side of the road. And all he was asking for was a couple of cents or a meal that we can provide for that person. And I said, "Hi, sir, what's your name?" His name was Emmanuel. I said, "Hi, my name is Hannah. I'm going to grab something real quick. Can you just stay here? I actually have a couple slices of pizza if you want them." And he said, "I would love that so much." And so I told my friends to wait, and I went upstairs because my apartment was right there. I grabbed the slice of pizza and I gave it to him, and he said, "God bless you. Have a great night." And I said, "You too, Emmanuel. It's nice meeting you." And it was such a genuine human reaction. And it's so shocking to me how that's been kind of stripped away for so many years now. And my friends were kind of shocked. They were kind of saying, "Oh, okay." And I said, "Maybe you should practice it too. Maybe we should just all practice it from on." And I think that really left an impact on that person, on me, on my friends, anybody who else who saw it. It really attests to the amount of advice I've gotten where people say college is a place where you have to figure out who you are. You know, that's the number one advice I always hear whenever I talk to adults, upperclassmen, anytime. And you always think, "Oh yeah, that's going to happen. I'm going to have some personal growth." But this example is really a testament to what that means, because nobody was around. There was no mom or dad saying this is what you should do. There was no adults or authoritative figures. This was just me, myself, and I deciding at that point what was my reaction going to be. Was I going to take action? And how was I going to reflect on that?
Well, that's awesome, Hannah. And for you then, servant leadership means being able to feed the people that need it, being able to feed the hungry. And the two big things we've talked about today are that servant leadership can happen with social justice and community level issues, and it can also happen in our interactions during class. We can be of service to other students, whether it is helping them learn a skill that comes easy to us or a skill that we have developed. That's another way. How do you think even after graduation, people can continue to develop their servant leadership skills?
I believe a lot of people have goals in becoming managers, or people in their careers they want to become managers, or people hire in whatever company they are in. And I think in order to be that kind of leader, in order to be an effective type of leader, the idea of servant leadership is something that really needs to be upheld, because now you're making an impact on a company that creates an impact on the entire community, the entire society. And whatever values you put forth into that company is you representing them as well. And when you become a manager, you're the manager of a group of people, of a team. And it's asking yourself, what are you going to do to advocate for yourself and for other people? So I think that servant leadership definitely goes beyond college. It goes into all of our careers. And even after that, when you retire, it's thinking about how are you going to advocate for yourself and other people.
It's not a temporary thing. It is most definitely in the heart of the human who wants to be of service to other people. And it is something that it is important to model and carry forth. And when students in the future are then in positions of power and influence themselves, being able to demonstrate that allows that cycle to continue as a source of inspiration for others, as a way of letting other people know that this is the culture we live in, where we prioritize helping and serving others. If you had to put your entire message today for our audience in one sentence, what is your message for them?
I want to say that in order to become an effective leader for yourself and for the communities and the people around you, you need to uphold a level of servant leadership and be able to develop that throughout your entire life, and know that you're going to develop it with reflecting with yourself and from learning from other people.
If you had to fit your entire message on a t-shirt, you only have a few words, what does the t-shirt say?
People change people. I really believe in it. I remember hearing it. I can't remember from who, but that was one piece of advice that has always stayed with me for the longest time. People change people. And I think no matter what interaction no matter what interaction you have with any type of person, whether it's on a virtual platform or in person or on the street or a random glance, they become part of your legacy. They become part of who you are as a person. So that's what I think about when I'm part of your legacy. Even right now, I'm part of your legacy. You're part of mine, whoever we become as individuals in our time here on this earth.
Well, thank you. I find that was a touching moment to hear that people do change people. I agree with that. And I don't think I've heard it expressed that way. And that's a fantastic way to summarize what we're talking about today. I love knowing that our class and our interaction together has impacted your life and absolutely likewise impacted mine. Thank you, Hannah, for your contributions to my life, absolutely, to my classroom. And I want to ask you two more things. These are not related to servant leadership. The first one is, if you had 15 seconds to go back in time to talk to your 18-year-old self, what do you say?
When things seem really bad, things are still going to get better. I think it's also a testament to this year too. Even though things can get really, really bad, there's always some kind of positive thing you can look at. And that's not to say that we should overlook all of the bad things and say, oh, but there's still good in the world. It's to acknowledge that there is bad things going on, and to acknowledge that there's always something else so that's good in the world.
Okay, that's a powerful message. One last question for you. Especially when we're in positions of leadership, it can be easy to neglect ourselves and very hard to take good care of ourselves. And I find that people who have a heart for servant leadership, people who tend to prioritize the needs of others, often struggle with taking excellent care of themselves. So my question for you is, what is the most recent thing that you did that's really good for yourself? Something, maybe it was just for fun, but something that was, this is to take care of me.
Honestly, it was definitely my purchase of a longboard, because I think that my longboard is it just makes me feel so free, because I love taking walks outside to clear up my mind, but sometimes I just want to cruise down the street and I don't want to use my car and, carbon emissions and everything, or use gas in general. So I think that my purchase of this longboard was just a very happy medium where I can feel free and just go out by myself and take care of myself mentally by being able to cruise wherever I want to go.
Absolutely fantastic to take good care of yourself and to get out there and move, right? Especially moving our bodies, so important for our mental health. Is there anything, Hannah, that you want to share that I have not asked you?
Just want to say thank you, honestly, for giving me the platform and the space to speak about it, because I don't know who this is going to reach. I'm not sure who's going to watch this video, but I hope that they find some kind of value towards it. And I think that you of course are observing servant leadership by providing this platform to students from different backgrounds, from different experiences, and bringing these different topics to light. So I think that also exerts definitely a level of servant leadership, and I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak about this and have this conversation that I think is really important.
Well, I'm honored that you said yes. This is a privilege. It's an honor for me to be able to talk with you guys. I firmly believe that there's something really powerful about hearing things from your peers. That's just different from hearing it than people in other generations. So I wanted to be able to create this as a platform where we get to talk, about the things that really mean something to students. And for you, talking about servant leadership today is something that's on your heart that you wanted to share. So thank you for bringing that message to this audience. And for everyone that's listening, Hannah and I both want for you to find something value in it and apply it to your own life. And don't be afraid to lead by example when it comes to serving others. Right now, don't make fun of me, Hannah, but when you said longboard, I thought we were talking about surfing. So what exactly is a longboard? Student? No, that's not the right topic. Never mind. Let me start over again. It's not student leadership, it's servant leadership.